Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Girl Talk Mental Health dares to go where others won't. We unpack the hard truths about mental health, dissect trending topics, and challenge the stereotypes and stigmas holding us back. From navigating the 6 dimensions of wellness to redefining social norms, this is more than a discussion. It's a revolution in how we care for our minds and souls. Ready for bold, honest conversations that spark change? Let's dive in. It's time for real talk with real impact.
Have you ever loved someone who slowly drained your energy, shattered your self worth, or made you feel like you were never enough? This week, Girl Talk Mental Health unpacks the silent pain of toxic relationships from romantic partners to family and friends, and reveal how to break free, heal deeply, and move forward with purpose. We are joined by our special guest, Dominika, to explore some steps to reclaim your peace, restore your identity, and protect your mental health. So, welcome, Dominika, to the stage.
Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to take the glasses off so I look better, no glare in the camera. After all, we want to look pretty because when we look pretty, feel better.
Absolutely. So, tell the people a little bit about the beautiful face we have before us today.
So Dominica is a human. She's a female that has went through hell and back in her life. I have lived through abusive, traumatic, um, you know, relationship that literally took away my breath, and I had a broken hand, and I was raped, and the whole 9 yards within a relationship. Then I had a son that passed away when he was 6 months old, and then I became very successful and very masculine and very miserable. And then I had to reinvent myself at age of 40 because of the changes. And now I am on my path, learning from the past, embracing the past, looking forward to the future. I'm an elite brain coach and neuron coding specialist. I am also part of the mentor program, and I mentor future coaches for Dr. Daniel Amen at the Amen University. I also mentor neuron coding for Joseph McClendon III, who's a phenomenal neuropsychologist. And I took all the brain science and all the knowledge that I was exposed to, I applied to me and to my clients. And I am proud to say that life is exactly what I dare to make it. And the fortune does favor the bold.
Okay, that's a great story. Very impactful. Are we ready to make more impact today
Heck yes.
while having fun?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are some overlooked signs of toxic relationships that people often dismiss because they're so used to, functioning in survival mode?
So I would say the first overlook sign is you. You're the sign. You're the sign if you're tolerating and accepting things that are not to be accepted. The sign is that you're dismissing your needs to please somebody else. The sign is that you're not speaking up for yourself and you're not building your support system. And that is the first sign of a toxic relationship, because people who are toxic, and as you know from my experience, I have experienced a gentleman who was an extremely toxic, and not one but few, but that one was very special when it comes to abuse. Isolation, that the targeting of the right woman for a toxic relationship starts with the fact that she's isolated, she doesn't have visual friends, she doesn't have people who will be supporting her, as well as the fact that she has low self-esteem. And those things are something that draws those people in. So the sign of a toxic future relationship and a present one is you.
Right. And that's good because it's important to define the problem, right? Which is most of the time, even though it doesn't sound like a good thing, but sometimes the first problem is you not recognizing the signs. So what are some of those patterns of that emotional abuse so that they can know what that is? What does that look like?
So, in my experience, what I went through, it was isolating me from everything. It was saying, "Oh, you don't want to meet that friend. She's not good for you. Look at her," and bringing out all the things that she did wrong. And as we know, we all do things wrong. Another pattern that I've noticed in that relationship with was horrible, was blaming me for little things at the beginning, that you burned the milk, that something else spilled, and having an emotional reaction or pretending to have an emotional reaction that was disproportionate to the situation, which made me question myself. Also, repeating over and over statements that were in disagreement with my value system. That was another pattern that I have lived through. Then grabbing me by the hand or blaming me for the fact that, let's say, it's raining and it's all your fault. And it's said it in between the lines because it would be abstract to think that, you're being blamed for the rain. But if something is repeated over and over, it starts to resonate with you and you start to question the basic things or finding things that would allow you to feel uncomfortable in different situations. Um, Also, for example, placing a huge value on gender roles. That is a sign of very toxic relationship because we're not in times where this is very clear. It's working together. And when somebody makes this your full responsibility without taking responsibility for anything that they do, that's also a warning sign. Now, at the same time, I'm not saying that every person who believes that would be, a toxic partner, but it is important to see how many things are happening. Are you being correct? Are you on time? Is somebody getting angry because I was so well trained by that man that 3 minutes before he would enter, I was trained to cook in a way that 3 minutes before he would enter the house, there would be hot food put on the table.
Mm. Yeah.
Trained me to the
Mhm.
point where I had no doubt, I anticipated his every move, but it wasn't out of love. It was out of fear being abused.
Mhm. Absolutely. So the gaslighting, the guilt, the fear, the isolation, the making you feel like you were the one wrong instead of they were wrong, all of those emotional barriers and everything, absolutely signs that there's a problem going on. Like what they
And you know
say.
what? I just thought of this, but another one, a huge one, is expecting level of being grateful for doing anything for you. I
Mhm.
brought you this coffee. You should be grateful. You should remember this, how well I'm treating you. Nobody ever treat you like this, and nobody ever will. Right?
Mhm.
So tying to the past to the future, that's the only option. And the moment you stop seeing options, you fall in. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that you did something wrong in that relationship, but what it is wrong is that your parents and we didn't come out strong enough to notice that. And that is the challenge that we're facing. Because at the end of the day, abuser is an abuser. That is also a person that's suffering, funny enough. That is a
Mhm.
person who is also unhappy. And this is the way they're controlling their inner dialogue, inner world through controlling you and abusing you because they feel inferior. And that is a very typical case. So it's not as simple as an abusive relationship. There's so many things playing into this, but our agreement and not having core values and core identity and being able to understand what's right or wrong and being able to say no, right? Women are taught to people please and you should be quiet, don't say anything, let it go, pick your battles, all of those little things that come up. They are very often leading to abusive relationships. And men, it was a great conversation that I heard between two psychologists, and they said it straight out. Men don't help hold themselves accountable for the wrong things. They dismiss that and pretend that doesn't exist. If men would step up and hold each other accountable for abusing the women, being disrespectful, etc., this would happen less. But in our culture, it seems that it is not okay to put him straight by another man.
And hey, let's do a quick disclaimer because you know what? These days, women are doing those things to men as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah. So Just look out for that part too, men, if you watching, because even though we're girl talk mental health, we looking out for the whole well-being of everyone. Because yeah.
And they have been doing for a long time, just in a different way. So absolutely, this is not only about men. Those red flags are for everybody, and women very often use emotional dysregulation to control men. um,
Mhm.
and that is also not okay. Getting pregnant to keep a man is a very typical, unfortunately, way of controlling men, right?
Mhm.
Speaking to their responsibility. So women are as manipulative as cruel as men. And if you look at history, and I'm going to bring in American history since we're listening to this in America. If you look at history of women slave owners, they were much more cruel than men because
Mm.
this was the first time they had power. All the devices used to abuse those people were thought of by women, not by men.
I never even thought about the women slave owners.
I
Thank
know.
you for that thought. Yeah.
And they were extremely cruel, extremely
I
cruel.
bet so. I bet so. Domineering for sure, right?
So, yes, relationships can be very challenging, and there are a lot of signs that learning how to recognizing them early. And it's not about punishing that person, but saying, this doesn't work for me, so I'm going to walk. I'm grateful that I've noticed this, and now I'm going to move on. That ability is so cruel. They did a study, and it's published in many psychology books, where they took abusers and they took predators and they had them watch women on street, just walk people on the street, and pick those that they would target. Do you
Mm.
understand that 90% of those predators picked the same people?
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
they ask, why did you pick them? And it was the clothing, the walk, the head, the look, the breathing, the movement, the whole your the way you present yourself. But that how you present yourself comes from what you believe inside who you are.
Hmm. The self-esteem, the self-confidence, they look for those patterns for sure of low self-esteem. Somebody's self-esteem that's lower than theirs, because like you said earlier, most of the problems is them themselves. And so they'll try to beat you down and make you feel inferior to them because they're already feeling low. So of course they have to find somebody that they can beat down to make feel lower than them so that they can feel dominant. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. So how do you think that faith and forgiveness intersects with the need to walk away from toxic relationships or toxic people?
So, in my view, faith and forgiveness is for you only. It's for
Mm-hmm.
nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
See, because it was another movie that I've watched, and this guy gave this really cool example. He goes, when you get bitten by a snake, you say, ow, it hurt. You fix the bite and you run away. You don't go looking for the snake to explain to him that he did a wrong thing. And you don't run to that snake going, oh my God, and have a conversation, right? You don't search for it. Yet for some reason, we seem to be doing that because it's another person. The truth is
Mm-hmm.
that forgiveness is for you because if you don't forgive, you will be processing that information inside over and over. And it's your brain that will release cortisol, your brain that will activate their reticular activating system, your brain that will put you in a fight or flight, your brain that will shut down your prefrontal cortex because you're processing that pain that you went through. And that is going into almost cellular level. Some studies say that it actually goes into cellular level, some say that it doesn't. But your brain changes the moment you live in that fear state or flight. And what's even more important, if you live in that state without forgiving that person, that doesn't mean you're going to go back for more, right? You're forgiving, okay, you're a hurt person. I'm so sorry you're experiencing this. It was not okay what you did to me, and I'm going to move on and walk away. It doesn't mean I'm gonna go back, forgive you, and let you do it to me again.
Right.
Those are two separate things.
Two separate things.
So it
People do
is.
get them crossed up. Yeah.
We can't get. It's like we keep saying, "Oh, forgive him," but forgive him doesn't mean go back. You forgive him for you to move on, and remember, it was that one person. That is so important when you forgive. You're not forgiving the whole men, group. You're not forgiving all the women that hurt you. You're forgiving that one person that did that to you. Because the moment you apply that pain to everybody else, you will literally live in a form of fight or flight, which is killing you, and that person just moved on. And what's even worse, when you're in that state, your brain shuts down prefrontal cortex, which is planning, analyzing, finding solutions. It also shuts down your ability to better communicate. You're unable to hear. You get also tunnel vision, so you don't see the options. And on top of that, you're only accessing the top memories in your brain. You are unable to access any other memories. So you're literally living in that state from neuroscience perspective, you're hurting yourself and your chances of success.
That's deep. That's deep. So let's give people a chance to let all that soak in. Let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back because that's heavy. And we're gonna be back with some more heaviness about how to help you through those toxic relationships or your friends. Sometimes people don't, people have relationships, but you probably know someone who has a bad relationship. So stay tuned for some more of this great information and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Do you ever feel like you're running on empty? Stuck in the same cycle? Or just trying to keep it all together? You're not alone. Stress, depression, burnout, and self-doubt are real, but they don't have to control your life. Imagine feeling empowered, balanced, and truly at peace. At Girl Talk Mental Health, we're diving deep into the real conversations that help you heal, grow, and thrive. From breaking stigmas to actionable strategies, we're here to empower you to take back control of your mental wellness and reclaim your time, your energy, and your joy. Follow us now for expert insights, uplifting conversations, and the tools you need to transform your life. It's time for a real talk with real impact. Girl Talk Mental Health. Real conversations, real change. Follow us today at Virginia Dalmanning.
And we're back with some more conversation, impactful conversation about how to identify toxic relationships and also, some science behind, our thinking processes about toxic relationships and some ways to move forward in your success away from toxic relationships. So let's see what our next process is going to be. Can you share? I'm gonna get in your business. We're gonna get in your business a little bit. You told us a little bit. I mean, it's about being transparent. So,
Absolutely.
can you share a moment from your own journey where you knew healing had truly began?
Hmm. It was an evening, and I have been 2 years in this limbo of not feeling anything after severe pain. And it was a relationship with my son who has passed away suddenly. And I don't remember 2 years of my life much. I was told I would work under cars. I was tied always to somebody because I would do things. I don't remember any of this. I lost 2 years of my life whiling in pain. I do remember my hair hurting. I remember my eyelashes hurting. Remember severe pain and insane emptiness. It's something that I don't wish upon anybody. My son was 16 months old. And about 2 years in, looking at the dates, I woke up one day and I had this moment of clarity. It was literally a moment. And I said, if I'm suffering like this after having my son for 16 months in this world, my mom would never survive me taking my life.
Mm,
And that's when the healing began. I grabbed onto that thought, and then years and years took for me to heal. And I wish the techniques I know now and are available now were available then. For years, sound of an ambulance would freeze me.
Mm.
For years, I wouldn't be able to breathe or faint when I would hear a defibrillator. And when I saw kids, it was insanely painful. And the healing started in a very weird way. And I want to open you up to this because people heal very differently.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting it out. And until today is when I'm suffering, I will talk about it to get it out, not to be make you a part of it, but I need to get it out of my system. And I would for years go, "Hi, my name is Dominika. My son just died." That was my introduction. That was my identity because I needed to everybody to know that I'm healing. Now, people had no clue what to do with that. They usually would run away because it was so heavy. They had no clue how to respond. But that was my healing journey. And it took years before I was okay watching kids and, hear the sound of a ambulance and be okay with that, not having memory come back or emotion come back. And that's trauma. That is what trauma looks like. Trauma from losing somebody suddenly. And that can happen to anybody. But that relationship with my son also was a blessing. Because he died, I stopped waiting to love.
Mm.
Everybody, I love them the moment I feel that I love them. I don't wait to call. I don't wait to say you're amazing because I know that it might be a second and that person's going to be gone. And then I'm going to live with the feeling that I wanted to tell so many more things and I didn't. So I share love, and some people say, "Oh, you're being gullible." No, I know they can hurt me, and I know that not everybody deserves my love, and very often that love is not returned. To be
All
very,
right.
but it feels beautiful and great for me to share that because
Mm-hmm.
I know how important that was, and the way I love my daughters that are now 25 years old was shaped by the fact that he passed away. And I understood that loving has to be in every second, every moment. And you got to say that over and over. It's never enough. It's never enough.
Well, that was great that you was able to identify when it was time for you to walk away from that grief and realize that it was time to, not always use it as a point of pain, but that it was actually a point of your purpose for you to move forward and identify how you can use things that happen in relationships to help you move forward in relationships. Was the abuser the father of the son that passed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so it was kind of you kind of felt those connections too as well, right? Mm-hmm.
That man was very hurt. That man was needed help. And that man, I was later on, there's a huge story behind this. I made an ad in a newspaper and I used his name. In that country, it was legal. And I said, "I'm looking for women who date him." There were
Hmm.
18 of us.
Whoa!
All of
All at the
us,
same time, around the same time.
one after the other.
Yeah. Okay.
12 of us had his children, and we all looked the same and had the same past.
Patterns, of course.
And then we found out that there is a trial for him. We went there, and guess what? We found two other women sitting there looking like us, madly in love, going, "I have to support him. He loves me." And all
Mm.
of us looked at them going, "Girl, let's go for coffee. Let us tell you what are you waiting for?"
Right.
And you know what? It made me realize that without blaming him, we all had the same behaviors, the same looks, the same typology of the body. We had the same past, the same problems with the parents. And we all, when he met us, were young and vulnerable. And
Mm.
we did not have the right guide. We did not have a woman to look up to. We didn't have the right male figure example how a man should treat a woman. And that was synonymous for all of us. And all of us were with higher education with master degrees. Isn't that
Mm.
interesting?
I believe that. That's a good story. So I'm at my favorite part of the show, okay? And it is the speaker spotlight question. And are you ready?
Like, yes.
You in the spotlight. Okay, so what's one mindset shift or action step you believe could transform how we approach mental health in our daily lives?
Brain. Taking care of your brain as an organ. Your organ creates your personality. Brain creates your personality. If you are not getting enough sleep, if you don't have enough ferritin, iron, magnesium, potassium, D3 in your blood system, your brain doesn't get the nutrients and ability to actually rewire itself and to function properly. Your environment is another shift that you absolutely must protect. What I mean by that is your environment is responsible for your mirror neurons taking in what's normal. And if you normalize being in an environment where people yell at each other, beat each other, abuse each other, you will take that in as the norm. It's not. It's not. So take care of your brain health that will create your mental health. And there are plenty of strategies that will not cost you a thing. It's enough to just research and then don't stop with research. Put it into practice.
Right, that's the key.
The knowledge is not going to help you. What will help you is making a decision that you're choosing you and you're going to now practice these things daily. Because at the end of the day, your best friend, your husband and wife is actually you because you're with you 24/7. And
Mm,
if you're not happy with the person who you are 24/7, guess what? That creates misery and that is created by your brain. So brain health is mental health.
great. So tell the people where they can connect with you and get more of this great information. And then if you have some type of special offer for them.
Absolutely. So you guys can find me anywhere on social media under Your Brain Coach D. That's where you can find me. And it's on LinkedIn, and it's the same on Instagram, and it's the same on Facebook and on YouTube. I don't do TikTok. Um, and then I think the special offer is that if you do one of my assessments for stress or brain health, you will gain a lot of information. So please feel free to reach out or go to my social media where those links are available. If you go to Linktree to any of my social media, you'll find a lot of free resources that you can take. And of course, I'm a big fan of iBook that was number one Kindle release last year. And on top of that was the world, oh god, it was like this world award for the biggest impact book and personal development, and you can get it on Kindle for less than a coffee. Don't tell me that you are not worth less than a coffee price. And it's called The Magic of Dreaming Big, Acting Small, and Achieving Success. And it will teach you to get out of overwhelm, out of stress, based on neuroscience with practical examples, things you can and make your life the way you want it, design it the way you choose to, and create the space for your brain to get healthy, to
Excuse me.
lead, and go further faster.
Perfect. Well, we thank you for coming today. And we want to encourage you if you have anything that's going on that's toxic and you need peace, peace is priceless and it doesn't cost too much. So healing starts now. Choose peace, choose freedom, and choose you. See you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for joining us for Girl Talk Mental Health. Remember, your mental health is your wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to at Virginia Del Manning.